It is I, Tantus Naravan Dracovin, Lord Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time for Gathering the Roll, the only news program supported by the Empire, with amazing and fantastic news from the worlds of the collectible card games, such as Magic the Gathering, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!, role-playing games such as Dungeons & Dragons, Shadowrun, and Pathfinder, and of course, board and card games. But let's begin today's news with, of course, collectible card game news, and let's start out with always Magic the Gathering. So first off, in Magic the Gathering, big announcement, there was an emergency ban after the last ones. Now, we discussed this a bunch on Discussing Tabletop last weekend, but if you missed it, effectively Felidar Guardian was emergency banned 2 days after those last bans were announced. This has shut down a big infinite creature combo that was part of Standard as of now. There's some controversy related to it on both ends, but definitely an interesting thing to check out and to learn about. Now also, there were 3 tournaments coming up this weekend. First off is the Grand Prix Beijing in China, which is a Monket limited tournament. There will also be the Grand Prix Richmond, Virginia here in the USA, and the Grand Prix Bologna, Spain. All 3 of these are, of course, limited Monket constructed tournaments. You can check them all out now. Some of them might still have some registration open. But let's, of course, move on from our collectible card game news to some role-playing game news. Let's start with some Dungeons & Dragons. Now, the former season of Unearthed Arcana has ended. The new season has begun, and the new season is once a month, either at the first week or second week of the month, and guess what we got it? First week this time. So, this Unearthed Arcana isn't anything new. Interesting there. It is 5 previous subclasses updated with suggestions from playtesters like you who actually put out their surveys, updated, and these are the popular ones, re-put out for you to try, updated and tweaked. 5 subclasses which have seen some use, that maybe you used them in one of your D&D adventures before, but now they have been tweaked and updated so that they are even better. You can check them out now. Now, in Pathfinder news, there are 2 new Pathfinder Society scenarios that are out. The first off is the Champion's Chalice, Part 1, Blazing Dangerous Trails. This is a scenario for levels 1 to 5. It focuses on the Severna Chalice, an amazing contest of speed and skill that is held every year, and your character's participation in it. The other scenario is Treacherous Waves, for levels 3 to 7, where your Pathfinder Society characters are diving deep into the plane of water in order to retrieve a lost relic. Interesting scenario, that one. Now, also out, we have a few new RPGs. First off is the Ice Post-Apocalyptic RPG. Rather than what most post-apocalyptic worlds take on the idea of a desert after everything is destroyed, this is set thousands of years in the future, where civilization is barely holding on in the midst of, well, an ice age. Megafauna have returned and hunt people. The Neanderthal are basically back and form this savage tribe that hunts the remains of humanity back from the old days deep into the night, and your characters are there to eke out a survival on this harsh, frozen wasteland. Also out, though, is Tales from the Loop RPG. This is having your players take the role of teenagers in the 1980s as they solve mysteries revolving around this mysterious loop. Exciting news is also out. The Fla Industries RPG is getting a reprint. It has been quite some time since it last had a printing, and it had some popularity. So now it's getting a reprint so that you can finally once again get copies of this game. A dark, futuristic fantasy where corporations control massive areas of society and completely control it. And players take the role of underground rivals going against this corporation in their areas. Now let's move on to some board and card game news. The Kvaranj card game is now available. You take the role of a leader of an army that seems to have been in battle for all time, never finishing endless wars. There's a hill there. You don't know why you need it, but you need that hill. Casualties be damned, you're gonna take that hill no matter what. That's it. bunch of armies competing for control of a hill, and you're going to get it. Now, also out, there is a new Munchkin Guest Artist Edition. Munchkin Guest Artist Edition, Super Munchkin. It's once again celebrating 15 years of Munchkin, this time with a special new Guest Artist Edition based around the Super Munchkin line. So, that's it for the news for this week. Links to any of these news stories will, of course, be in the description below. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. It's important to share the news. If you have any questions or comments about any of these news stories, please remember to leave them in the comments below. If you have any suggestions based upon these news stories or more, or questions that you feel like we have to discuss on Discussing Tabletop this Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, please, again, just leave those down below. We will take care of that at www.twitch.tv/TantasandDracovin. We will talk about it then. Or you could always email us at discussingtabletop@yahoo.com. But regardless, if you have anything related to Discussing Tabletop or just some questions down below, completely up to you if you want to say it, you could always show some extra support for the channel and the Empire by checking out my Patreon. It's also linked in the description below. And until the next time, I bid you farewell.